What's up, everybody? It's Josh from WA Production, and today I'm super excited to share with you our brand new plugin DERES. This is already one of our most popular launches to date. People seem to be loving this plugin, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a bit more about how it works and show you some examples of it in action. So DERES, as its name suggests, helps you get rid of unwanted resonances out of your sounds. So a lot of your sounds will have these either very noticeable or less noticeable resonances that aren't necessarily helping your sound and perhaps making them stick out in ways that you don't really want, or making your mix more difficult, making it clash with other elements in ways that aren't really necessary. And DERES can help you identify those resonances and then deal with them in a way that is super harmonic and scientific and works really, really well and makes it very easy. So I've taken a few sounds that I believe have some resonances just by listening with my own ears. And then I'm going to kind of go through the process with you of identifying those resonances using DERES and then using DERES to reduce them and make the overall sound more balanced and cohesive and appealing to the ear. So first, I've got DERES bypassed right now, so it's not doing anything, and I will play you this sound that I found. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I was able to hear some pretty clear resonances there, and I would like to do something about that. So let's give DERES a shot. So within DERES, you'll be able to see up in the top is our typical global options that we have for several of our plugins. You can A/B test different options. You can copy between them, undo, redo. You've got a preset browser here, which is very handy as it can kind of give you some presets that are designed for specific instrument types or for specific issues like riser, deharsher. You've got a harsh riser, that kind of thing. But today, I think I'm going to start just from the very beginning and create our own preset. Over here, you can reset the settings. You can also turn on oversampling. It does make some of the elements in DERES work a bit better, but whether you notice the difference, is up to you. I'm going to turn it on for now, and if we have any issues with CPU, then I'll turn it off. But so now I'm turning on DERES. So as I'm doing these things, I will explain what the various parameters do. So the best thing to start off with is to attempt to identify the harshest resonance in the sound. So I'm going to turn on the listen, and what that'll do is that will basically accentuate the resonance at each frequency as we rotate this dial. So if we do that, we'll be able to hear it, and then we can kind of keep our ears out for what's sounding the most intensely resonant to us. So let's play through our melody again and see what we can find. All right, so one thing I'm noticing is that this knob is moving very quickly for me. So what you can do is actually, if you right click and you want to go to tablet mode, that will actually make it move much more finely, which is quite helpful when you're doing this part. So let's do that and try and scan for resonances again. So you can see as you're doing that, if you look up here at the spectrum analyzer, the orange line is where you are boosting when you're doing the listening. And you can see that the primary content of this sound is all kind of below here. If we look again. So I can be pretty certain that my resonant peaks are not going to be up in this area. So there's no real point in, even looking up there. I mean, there's no way that's not going to be our issue right there. So I was hearing it pretty low on this spectrum on the wheel. So let's try and dial in exactly where the worst one is. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. If we listen now without it turned on, let's just listen and see if we can hear that resonance without boosting it. And now maybe we'll notice it more now that we've heard it. Yeah, that's a fairly unpleasant resonance, so we're on the right track. So now, you could turn off the listen, but actually as soon as you start to adjust the gain reduction, it will do it automatically for you. So the next step would be to adjust the gain reduction. So that's doing quite a nice job on the root resonance there. But one thing I'm noticing is that I think there are some definitely higher harmonics that are also resonant. And what we can do to try to change that is using the octave. So what that does is that it will also affect the harmonics that are octaves above the root location, wherever this is, around 1.1 thousand, or whatever that is. So let's see how that sounds. And we can also look at the visual representation to see the different orange pieces. It will now show where it's reducing it in those locations as well. So that's not really doing it enough for me. I think the issue is that these are not necessarily harmonics of the original frequency, but other resonances as well. So another thing we can try is to expand the Q so that it's less narrow and maybe it affects more of the sounds that are causing issues around here. So higher would be a narrow Q, wider would be, or lower would be a wider one. So let's give that a try. Yeah, that's much nicer. So now let's just compare again back to what we had originally. So I'm going to turn off DERES. Now let's turn it on. Cool, so that's getting there. So another thing, I'm not sure how much low end we need. Let's see if we want to cut any of the low end at all. I like it about there. I don't think we need all the low end. So the next thing I'd like to try is the dynamics. So what this is good for is when a resonance is not consistent throughout the entire sound. If you notice, if we turn this off again, it really becomes resonant whenever certain notes are played. It's not that resonant the entire time. And so what the dynamic knob will do is that it will mix between a static resonance filter and a dynamic one. And so if it's all the way this way, it'll be 100% dynamic. If it's all the way this way, it'll be 100% static. And so fine tuning and seeing where it sounds best can be a good way to balance it out so that you're not consistently removing resonances that aren't there the entire time, if that makes sense. So let's see if dialing that in at all helps. Okay, I like it there. Another thing we can try as well is putting it in mid-side mode, which splits the amount of gain reduction on in the mids and on the side. So if there's a sound where the resonance is more pronounced towards the middle or towards the side, you can affect them separately. So I'm not sure if that's the case with this one, but we can try it and see if it sounds any better. Here's something we can try. If we want to see which version we prefer, we can A/B test. So let's copy A to B, and now you can see they're both the same. So if we turn it off on B and go back to how we had it, so let's see which version we prefer. So now here's the mid-side version where I do think more was happening in the sides. I kind of liked that there was a bit more gain reduction on the side than in the mid, but I'm not sure if I like it more than just the non-mid-side version. So let's just compare and see what we think. I actually do think the mid-side version I made here makes it a bit more consistent, so let's try that. So after making these changes, you can tell that it's become a little darker. There are some tools built into DERES to compensate for that, aka the Compensate tool. So what Compensate does is boost frequencies that are adjacent to the ones that were cleared by the resonance removal. So that can help brighten the sound if we feel it's gotten too dark. So let's give that a try and see if we like it. Okay, maybe a little. One of the issues for me is that in this sound, it seems there are resonant frequencies surrounding the other resonant frequencies. And so I don't want to add too much because then you're almost kind of boosting other resonances. But a little bit did sound a bit better to me. Another option you can do is use the exciter, which will also brighten up the sound as well by adding some additional harmonics in the top end. Yeah, for this sound, I don't think that's helpful because really there's hardly any pleasant information from here on up. And so the exciter kind of was just, adding harmonics up here, which was a little unpleasant. So I'm going to leave that off. The last thing here that I want to try is the tone. So what that's for is really sounds like this, which are meant to be kind of layers. This isn't your typical lead sound, so it's kind of meant to be supporting whatever else in your mix. What the tone button does is it adjusts the tonal balance by applying a convolution response, which helps balance the layer and kind of help it serve a better supporting role rather than having a bunch of prominence. So let's see if turning on tone will help. Let's listen without tone first. Okay, it's subtle, but I think it does improve it a little bit. So, all right, so now let's compare it to how we started and see if we like the difference. This is it before. Definitely an improvement. There's more that I would like to. I think there's a lot of unpleasant harshness way up here, but that's not really what DERES is for. I would probably add an EQ and either do a low pass or some sort of shelf to reduce that, or maybe even a de-esser can help with that kind of stuff as well. So, but overall, I definitely think we cleaned up those resonances and it's sounding a lot better. So why don't we try it on another sound now as well? All right, I don't know about you, but I hear a lot of resonance in that. So if you remember our procedure, we're going to turn on listen and try and find the resonant peaks. Yeah, that's a pretty high one right there. So this is also another kind of low filtered sound. So there's not going to be much higher than this because the filter is probably turned on like around here, but that one is definitely there. So now let's try and reduce that a bit. As with the other one, I feel like there's quite a bit of stuff around that one, so I'm going to lower the Q as well. That won't be the case in all of them, but these couple just so happen to be like that. I'm going to turn on a little bit of dynamic, although it is pretty consistent throughout. Again, similar to the other one, because there isn't much frequency information above here, the octave's not going to do too much, but I'll turn it on a bit just to kind of reduce any harmonic resonances there are anyway. I do feel like there's some unnecessary low ends, so let's cut that a little bit. I'm going to try the compensate. I'm not sure if it's going to do much here, but let's give it a try. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that's really to help if your sound has become dull, but this already is kind of a dull sound. That's the point. So I'm not going to do much there. And I feel probably the same with the excite, but let's give it a try. Yeah, same answer for that one. And then let's just see if the tone makes it sound a little bit more balanced. Yeah, I do think it just kind of chills out some of those other peaks that were causing some other issues. So, all right, that sounded pretty good. So let's see how it sounds with and without. So first without. Yeah, so we definitely got rid of some of that nastiness with that one for sure. All right, let's try another one. Okay, so we'll try again. Let's go to listen. Okay, that's a pretty bad one right there. So I know where we need to start, so let's try and reduce that. Alrighty, now let's try the octave, which I think might be a little more effective, especially in the parts before. This one also has a filter that comes in at one point, but especially in the totally bright parts, I think we'll be able to hear it. So what this does is that at 100%, basically it does this in intervals. So your fundamental frequency of the resonance will be at minus 16 dB. And then I believe that the next one above that, the next harmonic will be half that, and then the next harmonic above that will be half that. That's what 100% does. And then reducing this to different levels will affect that, you know, by a factor of whatever percentage that we're at here, if that makes sense. So it's a scientific, mathematic kind of thing. But this sound definitely doesn't need too much low end, so let me cut that a little bit. Alrighty, a little bit of dynamic here would probably help. All right, and let's see if the compensation and exciter for this one will do much for us. I think in the bright part, it definitely did bring back a little bit of brightness that was lost by doing some of that reduction. So I think I'll leave it around there. And then the exciter, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna leave tone off because I think this is a bit more of like a lead kind of prominent type sound, so I'm gonna leave that one off. But let's now compare it to without DERES and then with it. So this is without. So to me, it's definitely having more clarity. It's more balanced and a bit more pleasing to the ear. So I definitely would call that a win for sure. So nice job with DERES here. All right, and then one last one, which is totally different because it is a vocal. Okay, so now let's see if we can find some resonance in that. All right, so that's the most intense one I'm seeing. So let's give that a shot. So now let's just try that without it and then with it again, just so that we can pay very close attention to the resonant frequency we've now removed. Yeah, so definitely there's that little bit of ringiness that I'm not hearing anymore in our version here. So that probably will be improved with some octave reduction as well. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better as well. I'm going to leave dynamic off because, to be honest, that resonance was kind of prevalent throughout. So I think it sounds better with it off. Definitely can do some low cutting. Okay. And then let's see if the compensation, if we feel it's gotten a little too dull. I think it's okay, but let's see if this helps at all. I actually do like that. I do. Once you actually add it, you do notice that the previous version had a little bit of dullness because of what we did. So that does help bring it back a little bit. Now let's try the exciter as well, see if that makes any difference for us. I like it around there. That's pretty nice. So tone definitely not in this case, in my opinion. So yeah, overall, I think that definitely helps. So let's hear it without it again and then with it. All right, maybe a little too much excitement. Maybe a little too much compensation. So let's hear it again. All right, again without it. Yeah, so that definitely sounds clearer to me, very balanced, and I'm not hearing that ringiness anymore from that resonant frequency. So I would definitely say that that was an improvement for sure over the original. So anyway, guys, I hope that you found this video really helpful. Obviously, you can use this on any kind of sound, essentially. I showed you a few different kinds, but really at the end of the day, it can work on a variety of different sounds in your mix, from organic instruments to synths to vocals to whatever might make sense for your style of production. So if a sound just isn't sounding right, if it's not mixing into your track well, if you're hearing pieces of it in your mix that you wish weren't accentuated, I definitely think using DERES or giving it a try to at least identify those resonant peaks and then seeing if there's something you can do about them could help, because at the end of the day, that's super important, and you've got a sound that might be bringing things into the mix that you really don't like. Like I said before, this has already been super popular. We're really proud of this plugin. We hope that you'll find it great as well. You can go get the free trial right now at waproduction.com. Go test it on your own mixes, really see it for yourself before buying it. And then of course, we would love if you would buy a license as well, if it's something that you are finding useful for your production. So go check it out. Hope you found this helpful, and I look forward to hearing all of your awesome mixdowns after you incorporate DERES into them. So see you guys next time.